Hi, and welcome to the Saved, Healed, and Made Whole podcast, where holistic health really can be simple, affordable, and attainable for you and your family. I am your host, Cayla J. Esteban. I am a biblical naturopathic doctor at Sozo Holistic Healing, where I work with natural-minded moms to find healing in mind, body, and spirit. So go grab your favorite cup of herbal tea, take a deep, relaxing breath, and we'll get started. All right, so welcome, Autumn. I am so happy to have you as our guest. And just to give a little introduction to everybody listening, Autumn is a wellness advocate who helps individuals rediscover their identity, find balance amidst chaos, and pursue their dreams. With a background in applied health and personal experience, she uses practical strategies and empathy to foster well being and personal growth. Additionally, as a parenting mentor, she supports families in thriving together. Autumn also offers business mentoring, guiding others in aligning their professional goals with their personal values for a more fulfilling career journey. Her goal is to transform life's journey into one of holistic wellness, self discovery, and empowered success. So, thank you, Autumn, for being here. It's really great to actually meet you in person. This is the first time we've actually met or like face to face. So thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm also a mom of 4. I have 2 Australian cattle dogs, so Bluey. I have Bluey dogs, the blue and a red. And I've been married for 15 years. I'm to that point where it's like, hold on, let me count.
Yeah. You've got a lot more years. I think I'm up to 4. So but it's funny, I have to stop and think about it. So you gave how old are your kids? Just to get a little.
Sure. He's turning 10 in a couple days, and then she's turning 7 this month as well. And then a 5-year-old, and then a 3-year-old. I'm to that point where they're close enough in age that I'm like, hold on, who's which age?
And then they have their birthdays and all
Yeah.
changes again.
Well, and then 2 of them have November birthdays, and they're 3 years apart, and then it's 19 months apart and 22 months apart. So it's a busy life.
Yeah, it is.
And
I have 2 that are a year and 9 months apart. So it's that age range is anything there and even like younger is crazy.
yes.
So can you give us just a little bit of a background on how you got it started with health and wellness?
Yeah. So just make sure that I'm not totally repeating myself, because I do say this a lot because it is something I'm passionate about. So this is the first thing I always share. I have always been interested in wellness. I'm realizing this as I go deeper into my journey, and like as I am sharing this more times and reflecting back. I've always been interested in like what is wellness, the different aspects, and it really was this huge aha moment for me when I went back to school. My oldest was 7 months old, and I started out in public health, and then applied health rolled out, and it was like, wait, more of those classes resonate with me. So both of them talked about wellness, and it was originally 5 dimensions of wellness. It's now 8 as of last time I looked last year. So it might be 9 by now. This idea that each of these dimensions are like a Venn diagram, so they overlap, and as you're doing well in one, you do well in the other ones, and as you're not doing as well in one, you're not doing as well in the other ones. They hold each other up.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like parenting. If you're struggling with one child, usually it's showing up in other children as well. So if you want to take it in a parenting way. But hearing about it, and hearing about it as a way of helping us to have kind of this fountain of youth, so to speak, this way to have longevity, to have
Mm.
total wellness, whatever that means to you, feeling totally aligned, balanced. There's many different ways to think of it. Just really resonated with me because I know several different people who it feels like as soon as they retire, or maybe even their children leave the house, they kind of just atrophy in a lot of ways, right?
Mm.
And atrophy meaning that you're going into a negative, right? And it made me really dig into, why is this? How can I become better? For starters, it's working on myself and then being able to reflect out. So how can I become better in these ways? And when I'm not sure who's having the noise. It might be on my side. I'm sorry. I don't
Oh,
hear
I've
anything
got
from me.
upstairs noisy neighbors, so I
Oh,
apologize if that's me.
so anyway, it really resonated with me as this way of retaining youthfulness because I have a lot of trauma in my past through my childhood. And as I'm letting go of that trauma and healing from it, I'm feeling this sense of youthfulness. And I am almost 40. I'm like, just like that other foot is just about to drop type of thing. And I feel so much more youthfulness than I did when I was in my 20s and early 30s, my teens, my childhood, even, because I don't have this baggage with me anymore. So I love this idea of being able to find more things that can help me keep my youthfulness, so to speak. If any of that's resonating with any of you that are listening, we have there one of the main ways that is very much an epidemic is we don't have enough social connections. So there is a lot of depression around this and feeling of isolation and loneliness. And there have been studies, and of course, COVID, it was worse, but it hasn't gotten as much better as it should since COVID. So there are studies being done to why is this? What are we doing? Well, one of the things is we have these wonderful connections through what we're doing right now, video. I'm in Maryland. Where are you? You're in California?
California,
Yeah.
yeah.
When would we have ever met in real life, right?
Right.
It's great, but when we hang up, we kind of lose some of this connection, right? So there's the pros and cons of it. So I really love digging into that and what is wellness and what does it mean, because it's this term that's thrown around a lot, right? I'm saying right a lot. I'm hearing myself. And anyway, so this term is thrown around a lot, but how can we look at it from different viewpoints to have it resonate with us is where I'm really trying to get. And every time one of these classes mentioned wellness in the description, I was signing up for it because it's like, okay, I want to look at it from all the different angles possible to really grasp this for myself. And it's still a journey, which is so fun. I have not met a ceiling yet. And I've discovered this thirst in myself. And as I am discovering these things for myself, I want to share with other people. And I found originally I was thinking I wanted to do health coach, be a health coach. And then I was looking into being a personal trainer and these types of things. But as I progressed through my degree in applied health, how are we applying health? I realized I really wanted to work on prevention. And if we are focusing on the aspects of our wellness, on releasing stress, on making sure that we have balance in our lives, there's many times where we are stressed out in one environment, one aspect of our lives, one box, if you want to think of men, how they have their boxes, but not in others, it still bleeds over, right? So I really love this idea. And yes, I coach people on businesses, but really, the better you are doing, the better your business is doing, the better your relationships are doing, the better you're doing at parenting, the better you're doing at whatever you really desire to be doing better at, the really where you want to spend your focus on, but maybe you aren't. So I really focus everything on my coaching practice on wellness. In fact, when I am onboarding a client, meaning they're starting with me, I have them rate themselves on each of the 8 dimensions of wellness, on where are you right now and where do you want to be and how do you think you're going to get there, because that gives them an idea of what goals do they want to work on with me. And they can show up with these goals, but once they work on the sheet, they'll realize how they correlate, they go together, and then from there we can go forward. And I really, I when I was taking my coaching certification, I did that for myself. And it's really interesting to see, oh, this is where I'm doing well, this is where I'm not, and sometimes it's not where you think you are doing well. So
Right.
that's the really long spiel of where I got started and why I do what I do. For the parenting coaching side of it, this is newer, and it's because, as I said, I have 4 children. Number 3 has a defiant disorder and
Mhm.
some ADHD and some OCD, and there's a lot of labels in there. But really, it was learning. I was struggling and not getting these diagnoses in the time that I needed. And he was struggling, and it was affecting our family. It was affecting the siblings. He was getting to the point where he would antagonize his siblings, and then
Mhm.
he would kind of siphon off that negative attention, and then it would continue the cycle longer. So kind of think hocus pocus. That's what he was doing. So I really needed the help, and I interviewed somebody on my own podcast, and she's a parenting coach, and she had a child that was similar. And hearing about how she was able to help him, a week later, I was on a call with her and my husband saying, all right, we want to do this. How do we do this? And if we're learning this for ourselves, I want to become a coach in this so I can share it with other people. So that's basically how I came to be where I'm at.
That's awesome.
It's been a journey.
Yeah. So you touched on a lot of really cool things that I love to circle back on, but can you share with us, I thought was interesting, what are the 8 dimensions of wellness that you learned?
Oh, I don't have my sticky. I'm not on my computer. Okay,
Quiz, pop quiz.
so I'm going to try. So there's financial wellness. That's the newest one. And then there is physical wellness, which applied health, that resonates with me the easiest. There is emotional and mental. They're similar, but different.
Right.
And then there is intellectual. There is social, which I already hit on. So 6. And then which ones am I missing? Professional.
Okay.
And there is, I'm missing something super obvious. Emotional, mental, physical, spiritual.
Okay. That's what was going to be
Little
my
thing.
guess, but I was like, let me wait and see.
And it's very, that is actually what my focus has been on
Mm,
this year for myself is spiritual wellness. I am religious, and I feel like that gets like think of it like a circle, like it's some of it.
mhm,
And then I love spending time in nature, so it gets a little bit more. And then right now I'm reading books and talking to people and taking courses and stuff like that to learn the rest of the spiritual aspect.
mhm,
Because what I really love is if you look at different religions and people who are not religious, there's very much that whole we are spiritual beings living in a physical body. And if you look at, for me, it's children most of all. Those little children, those spirits are so much bigger than that little body, especially
mm.
when they're like, I'm going to have my own way. So it's been really fun journey for me this year to have that be my focus and seeing how it also is taking over different like Venn diagrams. It's helping other areas. Um, so that's a very personal note about me is that I'm really enjoying the spiritual journey. And I know a lot of wellness coaches are turning to call themselves spiritual coaches.
Hmm.
It's very interesting to see that correlation for them.
Yeah, that's something that I have noticed, and it's funny you say that because I have been working more on my spiritual health this year too, and what I talk about in my philosophies is like health in mind, body, and spirit. I know I recognize there's like the 8 different ones. Those are the 3 that I kind of focus on the most, but um, the more like I feel like a lot of times wellness gets targeted at like the foods you eat and like the supplements and the exercise and things like that. And it's not that those aren't valid, but the more that I work with people in my sessions, the more I realize like spiritual and kind of emotional and mental, like those are kind of like the roots where like that kind of filters into the other things that are causing poor health. But if you can kind of get to that core, then it makes for a lot more efficient healing. But it's kind of hard to do because people are, I think, like the physical pain is people are like, oh, I just want to like make the pain stop, or I just want to lose the weight, or I just want to not be super stressed out. And people are not necessarily always willing to work on the spiritual health until they have resolved kind of like the physical, more like immediate things, right? I don't know if you found that with the people that you've worked with also.
Well, I was thinking of my own journey actually, because and a lot of these, yes, I can think of other people, but for me, my own journey that has led me to work with other people, right? So I when I was getting my certification, earning my certification as just a life coach, not the other coaching, just life coach, I my instructor was saying several times, "Have you considered going back to therapy? Have you considered therapy?" Because my past trauma was coming up. So I went back to therapy. That wasn't quite doing enough. So I ended up getting into around the same time coaching mastermind and meeting some amazing coaches that I'm still really good friends with. One in particular is a somatics coach. So she and I ended up having a chat off on the side. And now we do a trade where she is doing somatics coaching with me in exchange for me doing business coaching with her. It's
Nice.
really fun. We've gotten to be really good friends too. And it's been really interesting to realize how much just getting back in touch with my body, like getting that grounding between my spirit and my body together has really helped, because trauma does that. Especially for me, there was sexual abuse, so it's been very much that disconnect.
Mhm.
And whenever I tell her about something that's going on throughout my week, she's like, "Okay, well, how did that feel in your body?" And I'm like, "Huh, I guess I need to check it. I never even like thought of that." So
Yeah.
it's amazing. I When you were talking, I was even thinking about how I know that you have more of a religious side with your podcast.
Mhm.
And some people, through their spiritual journey, they end up leaving behind their religious upbringing.
Mhm.
And through that, it can allow healing, and maybe they end up going back. But there is so much that happens to us that makes us forget that we are spiritual beings.
Mhm.
And it's really hard when our body is saying, because we've ignored trauma and all of a sudden it comes as pain, to say, but this really hurts. Okay, well let's go back to the spiritual side of you that is also hurt, and then come to this. So it's been a really fun journey this year to really dive into that and explore that,
Yeah.
and just be able to share that with other people as I'm learning things. That's what I really love about coaching, is I'm gaining these tools and I'm sharing them at the same time, which is deepening my understanding and also healing them. And there's just such a this kind of where it's back and forth healing, and so great. I'm sure you experienced that as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like what you were mentioning with like the religious and spiritual side, I think it's so fascinating that so many world religions they incorporate like dietary food laws and or like mosaic law with like keeping mold out of your house and things like that. Like I think it's so fascinating that people in within religions recognize like the connection with their physical body and their spiritual relationship and stuff. And it's like not even just, I mean, like I'm Christian, but it's like not even just that. There's like Muslims and Buddhists, and like they have different just like recognize of that mind body kind of spirit connection and focusing on that balance of health that I think is really interesting. And I think I read this statistic once that like people that have I don't know if it was specifically religious affiliation or just like a healthy spiritual life live on average like 7 years longer than people who don't. So I thought that was really interesting to see that like that spiritual health really does in like a way that is measurable by years like actually helps people be healthier too. So I thought that was really cool.
Why do you think that is?
I think that when you have something to live for, like you have more hope about life and there's less stress because you trust that like God is in control. And like it's probably lots of different reasons. I'm just kind of like spitballing right now, but even just like the the spiritual aspect like morality and things like when you are focusing on a healthy attitude like you experience love and gratitude and service and like a positive mindset. All of these things are ingrained in Christianity but also in lots of other religions, and it actually creates positive physical health in your body. Like your body's vibration is higher, your immune system is higher. There's there's ways that like bitterness and anger and resentment and envy and jealousy and all these things like physically make our bodies sick. That I think if we're not religiously or spiritually motivated, then we're more inclined to participate in those vices or in those like negative mindsets and bitterness and anger and stuff. So it physically makes our bodies sicker, I think. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. So I agree. And I'm also curious because we know that married people usually live longer,
Mhm,
or people who are in a long-term relationship, we should say.
mhm,
And because you're taking care of each other, and
mhm,
especially, us women, we're known as nags, but there's also the side of it. Did you go to your doctor? Or have you
mhm,
seen the different there was one on social media that was hysterical. I'd never be able to find it to help you to put it in the description. But she talks to her husband and she's like, "You don't even need to be there." And it's his doctor's appointment. Like, I'll discuss it with the doctor. Like, you don't even need to show up because she knows what's going on with his health and everything else. And how many
mhm,
times is it the spouse, and not, it doesn't need to be she, that is saying, well, yeah, they're snoring at night. Okay, well, let's look into that. Oh, it's sleep
mhm,
apnea, and sleep apnea is dangerous because you literally are stopping breathing while you're
right,
sleeping. Like, it's very dangerous. A
mhm,
lot of people don't realize that, and they're like, I don't feel like using my sleep machine. No, you should. If you don't like the way it fits, go to your doctor, get a new fit. They have newer styles out. But there's so much data on long-term relationships and living longer.
mhm,
And when we're looking at religion, what is something that is important within religion? It is having the family unit. So
mhm.
that was it'd be very interesting to correlate. I'm sure there is a correlation there between living longer in a long-term, committed, loving relationship and being religious.
Yeah, absolutely. And I there's this Chinese proverb, I'm talking about it all the time. It's all on my website and emails and stuff, but it's something about like to in order to make the family healthy, you need to treat the mom first. Because like moms especially like, often not to stereotype because I know there's exceptions and wonderful dads, but like a lot of times the moms are the ones like doing the grocery shopping and making the meal plan and cooking and taking care of the kids while they're sick and things like that, or making sure their husband goes to the doctor and stuff like that. So if the mom is not like functioning well and healthy in all the 8 different dimensions of wellness, then she's going to have a really hard time taking care of other people, right? And then the family system in their health system is going to like that microbiome of the family is going to kind of like get disrupted because she's not in herself. Not to put any like blame on moms, but just like I think it's a good reminder that like we also need to be taking care of ourselves really well and we deserve good health just as much as our families too. So what, because a lot of my ideal clients, and I think also yours, are women and especially moms. What would you say is some of the biggest challenges that moms have balancing work and home life and their health and like all of the things?
So, rolling out the soapbox. Okay, here's my biggest thing that I share with moms who are struggling with what you're saying. Like, let's just take a week where you're out sick, like you have the flu. How's your family surviving? How are they doing? Like, serious question for everybody. Reflect on this. Reflect on the times when you've been sick. How has it been? How
For
much
me,
guilt have you had? Right?
yeah. Wait, are you asking like a rhetorical question or are you asking me
This
personally?
this is for you and then for anybody else listening.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, let's back up. And there is this book called The Fair Play Method. I recommend it all the time, whether you're my client or not. I recommend it everywhere. Like, I don't care if you want to work with me, you need to read this book. So, the book was a little bit hard for me to get through personally because it was like, okay, cool. You're setting. There's several chapters where she's just setting aside the stuff you do, but it's a different S word. The stuff you do. um, and it's really building her case. She is a lawyer by trade, so she's building her case. And I'm like, no, I just want to get to the help. Like, get me through here. But you need to slow down And I'm the type where I speed through things. I need to slow down. I have to remind myself of that a lot. That's why meditation's so good for me. But you need to go through those first few chapters to really get an idea of how much stuff you do during the day. Have you ever heard the concept of having a to-do list? We have our to-do list, but how about the to-do list? When everything goes awry and you're like, I got nothing done on my list, but actually you got a lot done. You got a lot of stuff done using the other S word in your brain. So in the fair play method, she's really talking about how, and she calls it fair play on purpose instead of equal, because equal doesn't resonate. There are some moms who are full-time, who are part-time, who work a lot of overtime. You need to figure out what's fair in your family and then divide up the tasks. This is why she's spending so much time going over what tasks you actually do. And there are so many that are on autopilot that you don't even realize you're doing them. So she's going through all of those. And then from there, you have a really good idea of all the stuff you do. And you really feel like, oh my goodness, I'm exhausted just realizing how much I do. Then that opens up some discussions with your spouse, possibly, like it did with mine. And then from there, you are going and figuring out how to redistribute the tasks. So my husband, he's the one who cooks dinner while I'm folding laundry. I'm the one that meal plans, he grocery shops. He actually just grocery shopped right before I had to jump in the car and take my daughter to gymnastics. And then he goes and takes the boys to swim class. So we really have a good division of labor within our house. And we're actually due for a checkup, and okay, these are the cards each of us are holding. Do you guys want to redistribute? And they actually, so you buy the book and then you can buy cards if you choose. Or what's even better is, I don't know if you've heard of Notion, but Notion has it there for free. The Fair Play cards, which is so much easier to have it digital, so you can actually look instead of going and grabbing your cards and seeing who has what. So my husband, we have 2 birthdays this month. He is planning out and sending out the invitations for the birthday cards. I have a lot of the phone numbers, so there's several times where here's my phone. But it makes it so much easier that I know what's my lane and what's his, and I don't have to worry about the things that are in his lane. There's a few things that there's like I make sure to set out the lunch containers, because I'm pretty sure if I didn't, he would forget, even though it's his task to make sure the kids pack their lunches. So there's different little things, but it's helping me to be able to have this space to do. Ooh.
Oh.
Hi.
The battery didn't go out, did it? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Remind the card that I'm in here. So it's really important to have that, because it shouldn't be the women are doing everything, and then from there we are feeling resentment. I have somebody that I'm coaching right now who has so like decades worth of resentment, and it totally makes sense. But she's such a pleaser that she never vocalized it besides with me. So, or there's many times where we get together as women and we're all complaining about our spouses. That's not helpful. All we feel is more resentment, more of that heaviness, more of that anger, whatever feeling that is in your body. Can you tell I work with a somatics coach?
Yeah.
But it just builds, and then you're feeling that when you're going home and you're with your significant other, instead of having this open conversation. So I really wish the book had a section that spoke to the significant other as well. Unfortunately, it does not. I'm just going to hang out with my car door open, apparently.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes don't come in. Anyway, so that's my soapbox. I really recommend it. It's called Fair Play Method. We will have it in the description, so you can just click the link. And it is available at your library. It's available used bookstores by now. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it anywhere. I did it through Kindle, which was easier, and I actually read it while I was on a cruise ship. We did a family reunion, and when I would send my husband off to go spend time with his family while all the kids napped, so that I could hurry up and get through the book. So anyway, I really recommend that, because yes, I do work with women, and they were my sole focus for a really long time, because women don't even put themselves on the back burner. We're not even on the to-do list to take care of ourselves. And it's sad. And really digging into it, it is a societal thing, it's a generational thing, and
It's a trauma thing also, like, just like codependency often comes from trauma and feeling like if you haven't been treated well in the past, it's hard to connect with those feelings like you matter and your needs are important also, and so I think sometimes we grow up and just think that we're meant to just shove ourselves aside for the sake of other people and kind of rewiring our brains to recognize like, no, I do matter too is important. Yeah. So especially now we're headed into the holidays, and this is like a notorious time, I think, for a lot of stress in kind of all of the different dimensions of wellness. Like it's financially really stressful, and we're like, socially with family members or different people, and physical health, like eating a lot more sugar and things like that. What kind of advice would you give to people listening for how to stay as balanced as possible, I think, during this season?
You're talking about it with food, but I want to talk about it in a broader sense. Self check-ins. You really need to take time to check in with yourself. How am I feeling right now? This thing that I'm craving, usually because I come from applied health, when you're craving food, there's a high chance that you're dehydrated.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not food, it's actually water,
Especially sugar,
or
yeah. Uh-huh.
or it's sleep,
Mhm,
or is it emotions that you're trying to stuff down? So really taking those times, and you can use it in any aspect, like when you want to just explode all over, or you're struggling to hold boundaries because right now we're going to the holiday season and you're going to be around a lot of family. There could be grief. There could be so many things that you're feeling. Take time to say the feeling that I'm feeling is okay. And it's my actions based off of those that might not be okay. And
mhm,
staying curious, not judgmental, because once you're judgmental, it's hard to get out of that cycle. But doing that check in with yourself, how am I feeling right now? And wherever you're feeling it, put your hand on that area. Um, for me, it's usually like right in my diaphragm, it gets tight. So it's just, and people walk around like with their hand right here. You're not going to be weird. No one's really going to notice. If somebody really cares about you, they might, and it
mhm,
could be worth having that conversation and reminding them that they can also check in. Um, yeah, self check in.
mhm.
And do it several times a day, but most especially during the holiday craziness.
Yeah. Maybe even
And
like writing it on a note, like post it in the kid, like, have you checked in with yourself today? Yeah.
yeah, especially when you're going to go binge shopping. There's so many times where I make a list of everything that I'm going to be getting for Christmas, and I try to pare it down because I don't like to have a lot of stuff. I want to have more experiences. And then it gets closer and I'm like, wait, I feel like I didn't get enough stuff. I do this every year. And then once everything's opened up from all the in-laws and all the other family members, I'm like, we have way too much stuff. We need to declutter the old toys now. Like,
Yeah.
so that's my reminder that I need to check in with myself.
Mhm. That's cool.
And
So,
the other one, get enough sleep.
oh, yeah, of course, sleep is so important. So for anybody that has been feeling inspired and is looking to work with you, what kinds of offerings do you have for them?
Yeah, so I love this part. I have many different programs. Some are free, some I try to have them be really reasonable. So they start at free. There's some $7, some $9 on up, and they are courses that are specific to one little thing, like how to stop yelling at your children.
Hmm.
So very specific courses. And then from there, I have one-on-one coaching. I have my own podcast. You can just, if you're not ready to work with me yet, but you want to be in my world, there's that. I have my newsletter. I try to make sure that I'm as accessible as possible, even though I have 4 children. So that's where the courses come in. And like I said, I offer one-on-one coaching. And if there's ever enough interest in a specific topic, I will open up group coaching. I have had that before. But right now it's mostly the one-on-one coaching and then the programs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So,
Oh,
I
and
will
where to
put
find me, right?
oh,
I
yes,
forgot that part.
I will put links to all those things, what you shared with me, like the, social media and website and all those things that you can find Autumn if you're interested in working with her, and thank you very much for joining us, Autumn. It's really great to get to know you in person and hear more about your business, so thank you.
Thank you.